Okay, so let's talk about this app. This is going to be the app. This is the basics. This right here is a label, and it has our total amount. This is our checking amount, our checking account right here, and this is our savings account. We put in a number here, we put in a number here, and of course this updates. And the update is shown here. Okay. Now we are using UI kits. We're not using Swift UI. So we aren't doing data binding. We're using UI text field delegates and the methods that they expose. And in particular, should change characters in, right? So we're going to write a function, going to write some functionality that when this changes, what happens is we will update this, okay? Now, I'm going to say this. This is dumbed down. This is not the way you would do it in the real world, okay? In the real world, you want to do MVVM, not MVC. That means you want to have, instead of putting our implementation into our bank view controller, we'd put our implementation into another file, another object called a bank view model. And I think I've touched on that. If you look at the MVVM, tutorial that I have, but so we're staying away from that because I really want you to understand how just the basics of how test-driven development works. And you can learn the MVVM part, the Swift UI part later. But these are the basics because we have a lot of things to cover. After this, we will have to talk about networking services and different different types of patterns that we would apply it, but that's a whole nother thing. Okay. Right now, let's just talk about our unit testing. Okay. So okay. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and start on. We're just gonna add our should change characters functionality. Okay. So we want to do is we want to have a character set, and we want to see if we want to make sure that the only numbers that are in this character set, only the characters in this character set are in the string, right? When I talk about string, I'm talking about this one right here. Okay. And so here's how we're gonna do that, right? Thanks. Say 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, period. So this is our character set right here. We want to see if they're in string, right? Our replacement string. If they are string, and remember we've already implemented UI text field delegate, and we use delegate for check text field and the saving text field, which is well, I'll show you. Let me build it real quick. Okay. I'm going to build this. Right? Checking text field, saving text field. Okay. And what it's going to do right here is going to check it and make sure that only, excuse me, sorry, only digits and period are there. That's it. Nothing else. Okay. And so if string right? The string dot range of characters, right? Range of character. There it is. There's from digits and period dot inverted. And if it is not equal to nil, right? We return false. Return false in this context stops you from entering anything in the text field. So if all the characters aren't listed here, aren't one of these characters, we'll not allow it in the text field. Right? And let's test it. Right? So hit 1, 2, C. Nope. Let's click C. Not allowing it. Period 09, right? And the same thing goes for here. 3, 4, 1, comma, no, period, yes. OP, no. 09, yes. Okay, so you see that's how that works. But we also want to make sure that we want to make sure that the text field we want to make sure that the text field only has one period, right? We can't have a series of periods, right? So and we also got to get the current text, right? So here we go. Check this out. Let's current text equal text field dot text, and look, it's not there, then, and we already covered the 2 question marks. We already covered that. Okay, and we'll say let's updated text equal, right, current text as in as string dot replace occurrences in with occurrences in range, which is right here. This value in as range with string. Okay. So and of course we could actually print the updated text to the screen, right? Print updated text. And if you notice, we do this. And what that means, we'll print that to the console, right? So see that? But I can't print a letter. It's not allowing me to add it, right? Same thing. 5, 4, 3, 2, dot 1. See? So now we have to stop that from happening, right? Stuff like that can't happen. And so we do that by saying if updated text dot filter right. I'm gonna filter out anything that's not this $. 0. Right. Right. So we're gonna go right here. We're gonna accept anything that's here unless the count. But we're gonna accept everything that's here unless the count is what? Equal to 1, greater than 1. 1. And if it is, because if it is, you know what happens? Right. You return false. Now guess what happens? B 2 1 0 dot. We're gonna allow 1. No more. Okay. So that's how you stop that. Okay. Now let's go ahead and we're gonna talk about, we're gonna add our unit test. So right here we have our bank view control test. Now, if you don't have your test, here's how you add unit test area to your project. Say there are no tests, there are no UI tests, no unit tests. Come here, see your targets, you click this button, the plus button, okay? Then you go to unit test. Unit testing bundle, click next, and then you add the name, and then you finish. You have a unit testing bundle, right? But in my case, I already have a unit testing bundle. This is the unit testing bundle, UI testing bundle. This is the unit testing file that I added. I go here, new file, unit test case class. Click that, click next, add the name, next, and everything else. Then you have it, and you'll have a whole bunch of stuff filled out. This is it. And then of course I have to come in here. This is not already added in general. So what you have to do is add @testable, import the class, and it comes from your root name, right? Bank account app right here. That's what you're importing. Okay, you can also look up here for a reference, right? Bank account app, the project, bank account app, the main target, bank account app, right here. Okay. Go here, create, blah, 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 add this, new test target, whatever. Okay. All right. And if you get confused by that, rewind. So give me a second. Okay. So now we are here. And so what I need to do now is I need to create a function, a method that that can be called from within here. And as I add a digit to either text field, it is added up here with my account balance. Okay. All right. So let's look at this. How are we going to do this? Let's see. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to create an extension on Bank View Controller, right? Just to keep this separate. Bank View Controller. Okay, and we're going to say public func, right? Fetch some, right? Fetch some, checking value. And this is a string, right? Savings value. This is a string, okay? Then we're going to say double, okay? And then of course we're going to return 0. Okay. And that's it. So now let's go here to our banking view controller test. Okay. And what we're going to do now, again, what you need to do after you've created your file, you say @testable import bank account app. And then we're going to create an instance of the bank account app object var DAN bank C, right? Bank VC for bank view controller. And I'm going to say bank view controller, bang operator. Okay. We want this implicitly unwrapped. We don't want this value to be nil. That's what will happen, and it won't work if you try to use this. It's not going to work. That. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about setup and teardown. Okay. So right now, this isn't instantiated. I'm going to say set up with error or just set up, right? I'm going to say set up. I'm not going to say set up with error. Set up, and then I'm going to say bank VC equals bank view controller. I'm going to do that. Okay. Let me see something. Let me see. Cannot be used bank view controller. Instance member bank VC cannot be used on type bank view controller. Give me a second, real quick. I don't understand why that's say over. I don't understand why they even put that override class func. No, not override class function. And now you got to do the test func teardown. Tear down, right? And why it keeps adding this class, I don't know. I gotta look into that. But bank VC is equal to nil. Now you have a setup and a teardown. Why? Because what you want to do is you want to have each function used in a particular instance, right? Can be shared across the app. It's just tested here, and you create an instance of that method and that object, and then you get rid of it. Okay. Okay. You open it up right here, get rid of it, set it to nil. Okay. Now I'm gonna create my first test in here. This I'm gonna say func test calculation. So, right now, nothing's happening yet, right? We're gonna do this. Check this out. Within unit testing, they have what they call XC assert, right? So we have our function and it returns accepts two strings, right? Let me go back here. We have our function accepts two strings, returns a double. So two string values, return those to doubles, we add them up, and then we return them, right? So that's what we want. And so basically we expect certain values if we pass certain things to it, okay? XC assert test assert equal. Let's see right there. Yeah. So here's what I'm going to say. I want this to say 460. Okay. That's what we want this to return. Okay. Bank VC dot fetch sum. Okay. We're going to say 2.35, right? And 2.25, right? Right. And this should equal 4.6, right? But I go ahead and I run this. Okay. Again, I run it by pressing this. I run every test in the file, in the test case. It runs everything and throws an error if anything in there fails. This just runs this test by itself. Okay. And of course, this failed. Why? Because 4.6 is not equal, 4.6 not equal to 0.0. Right. And where's it getting the 0.0 from? Getting it from here. That's what I have it returning. Right? Obviously, that's not right. So let's fix our app to where it's right. So here's how you do it. Let's value one. Let value one equal. Oh, something happened. Stop. Double, right? Checking value, right? Of course, and if it's not anything, then right 0. Okay. We can't cast this to a number, then a 0. Value, let value 2 equal DOU double savings value 0. And then we return, right? Value 1 plus value 2. Okay. And now this should return a proper answer. Okay. And so now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and we're going to run all the tests here, which we just have one. And you see the 2 green lights. The test succeeded, right? So, let's go back. Let's take a step back for a minute. Again, our point was we access the method, and then as we continue to flesh out the functionality in the method, we tested it, right? Now, what we usually do is, again, we can add some more tests to it, add more tests to it, right? Looking for, trying to make sure that it works, add edge cases, right, to the functionality, right? And that way we ensure that this method works. Now, maybe something else, if something else were to go wrong in the functionality of this, it can be attributed to maybe something going on and should change characters in or something to that effect. But if we check all the edge cases with this method, we should be good. And that's really the nuts and bolts, the nuts and bolts of what test-driven development is about. You create your object, you have your class, your bank view controller, create your method inside that class, and then you start fleshing out the functionality and you test it as you go. Right? So yeah, that's basically test-driven development and unit testing in a nutshell, but there's a lot more to it. So I'm going to make some more videos where I explain a few things, and we'll go into talking about other design patterns, testing for it, and yeah, then we'll start dealing with testing a networking service. And as you already know, if you've been following my tutorials, in order to properly test it and mock the data, can't be a singleton. So what are our options? Well, on to the next, and we'll find out.